Yo, no niche. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Oh man, let me just get this thing fixed here. Let me see. Okay. All right. Show comments on the stage. All right, cool. All right. Oh, that's so dope. I can show comments and stuff on stage. All right. What's going on, no niche? What's up, y'all? I know it's been a while since I've been up here, and I'm gonna tell you I miss being up here because I've been doing so much on my own business and stuff like that. And I've been working on it with a digital business called Elevate Circle, and it's helping people with existential anxiety. It's been really, really great, and I've learned so many new things since the last time I've been up here. And again, I still believe in having people fall in love with you versus the fact that you would have a niche. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't get me wrong. I do have channels where I niche down on that particular station, but oftentimes people tell you that in order for you to want to stand out on YouTube or any other platform, how about you do the opposite of what everybody else is doing? And people will tell you, oh, niche down because the algorithm, niche down. How about you become the niche? You know what I'm saying? You become that niche. And whatever you talk about, people should love. That's how I feel about the situation. But other than that, yeah, I'm on live. As a matter of fact, I just want to check out, I want to check out, No Niche channel, stuff like that, just to see what's what. Okay, yeah, I'm on. I see that I'm on. You know what I'm saying? I'm on. That's good. At least I get a chance to see what's what. Okay, cool. Yeah, so listen, y'all. I want to talk about, you know, um, what it take to start your own, online business or digital business. I remember 2020, I knew nothing about cameras, anything like that. I did know about cameras, but I cared nothing too much about cameras until I started following a brother during COVID. His name is Sean Cannell, and he is the founder CEO of the Think Media company, and they are your YouTube guides. If you want to really build a YouTube channel, if you want to know anything about gear, he went from tech gear to now becoming like your YouTube guide. And of course, they still talk about tech, and they were the ones who convinced me to get my first DSLR camera. They have a lot of mirrorless cameras now today, but I remember, hearing about the Canon 90D. My friend David Quinones at that particular time, or before that time, he had what they call the Canon 60D. You know what I'm saying? I was like, wow, that's crazy. It's dope. But I didn't care too much about cameras at the time. But for some reason, being home, being laid off and stuff like that, I got a chance to watch the whole Think Media team. They have a completely new Think Media team now. But before that, it was Mr. Nolan Oates. It was Omar El Zakori. It was Heather Torres. Um, it was a couple other people, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, what an amazing team. I remember them because it was at their hand, and at their teaching that they taught me about shutter speed. And of course, Sean Cameron himself, who told you about 3-point lighting. They teach you that when you're doing YouTube, that you're more or less in the middle of the screen, and I think Nolan Motes was someone who did cinematography. So, he had a great, great ear and stuff like that and a good eye. And I know that Omar El Takori, he was a great, great videographer at the same time too. So he taught us about like the thirds and the depth of field, shallow depth of field and stuff like that. That's how I got started, and I was like, wow, I was sold. But I'll never forget that the Canon 90D was in back order. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I'm waiting every single. Do you know? Well, first of all, I live in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Anybody know if you're from New York, we only have one B&H out here. You're not going to Best Buy. You're not going to PC Richards or anything like that. You're not going to uh, what is that, Micro Center, But to get these authentic cameras and stuff like that, you're gonna go to B&H or you're gonna go to Adorama. However, at the time, because everything was just like back ordered because of the pandemic. Nothing was coming in, nothing was going out of the city and stuff like that. I did order it. I paid for it at the store and stuff like that. And they were telling me, oh, yes, it'll be in. And as soon as it get in, we'll be notifying you and stuff. And I used to go on my my email and check, and track it. And I'm like, dang, that dot never moved. It never moved. I cleaned the house. I did everything I wanted to do. I had a special area for it. And I'm like, yo, I really, really, I can't wait to get to my K90. I kept watching specs, kept watching, Sean Can on them about the 90D and all of the specs that they had. And I'm like, yo, this is dope. This is dope. And when I finally got to the point in place where, I looked on my email and it was like, it's arrived. I was like, yes, it's here. It's here. Man, I couldn't wait. I didn't even know that B&H don't open up on Saturdays. They close early on Friday because it's Jewish owned. Let me say it again. It's Jewish owned. It's kind of late. I got to go to work tomorrow, but at the same time, I got a couple of clients and stuff I have to see. So, but anyway, yeah. So, but that's how I got started. I got my first ring light from Micro Center, and I got a lavalier mic and learned from Nolan Moats in them and Omar Takori, had the tourists about, how you can record from your phone and, how you want to set things up and to get yourself off the background, saying you want to make sure that you at least go through the deepest depth of the room, which is the corner, so that you can have some background and stuff like that. This right now, I'm just doing this on purpose. But at the end of the day, just to learn all of that and have that knowledge, put that knowledge into action, So if you ever go on my channel, it's called It's All You TV, ITZALLYOU TV. Don't look at the most popular stuff because it's more advanced, but yeah. But if you look at like the latest stuff or whatever the case to be, my very first video that I've ever done, I look like a robot. Hello, my name is Donald Francis. Always remember that your first video is not going to be the best video at all, although you feel that you are able to master it. It's not happening like that, champ. It really isn't, man. It's not going to happen like that. And if you look at all those videos, I didn't even know what I want to talk about. I didn't know what, but I did know that, and I'm gonna get to my points. I know I'm sort of rambling, but I did know that I wanted to have talking head videos, and then after a while, I wanted it to become like a TV station, but having talking head videos with illustrations, that's with the skits and sketches. And then after that, just have sketches, right? And then turn sketches into eventually cinematic like scenes and stuff like that, and then short films. And but I did everything under the sun. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And 9 times out of 10, people who come up on YouTube will tell you I did not know what I want to do. I didn't know nothing about the niche. All I knew was to start. And that's exactly what Sean Count and them taught us. To just start before you're ready. Just get used to it, get used to being able to be put on camera and talk to the camera and not only talk to the camera, but know who you're talking to and stuff like that. Establish your personality on camera and all that other stuff, But nonetheless, I only said that to say that, yeah, so when I first started in 2020 to 2021, I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I was aiming to go and do something special. You feel what I'm saying? But then, it was so much that they were talking about. First, it was the camera Canon 90D, and then all of a sudden, I was introduced to Think Media, the Rodecaster Pro. They got the Rodecaster Pro 2 now out, but the Rodecaster Pro. So I got that with like 4 pod mics. I bought my Canon 90D, and I got 2 SL3s to go with the Canon 90D because at that particular time, even though I was recording, and it's so funny. Let me tell you something. I bought the Canon 90D first, right? But here's the other thing. It wasn't until I bought the SL3, which is like, it's an older version, but a smaller compact DSLR camera that is just like the Canon 90D, And I recorded my first sketch off the SL3 because it seems more compact. And I wanted to make sure that the Canon 90D stays stationary, But I bought those 2 because, number one, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, right? So I'm recording. And by the way, my first recording that I did for YouTube, which is It's All You TV, I did it off my phone. I had the Canon 90D home. I was just scared to bring that joint out, I was scared because I didn't know what to do, but I had my, my Zoom H5, I had my shotgun mic, which is the Rode NTG. I think it was the 2, right? 2 or 3, one of the 2, one of, you know what I'm saying, one of those. So yeah, man. And I would have the mic here, talk through make sure I had the external mic, and I would have the Zoom H5 connected to the Canon 90D or the SL3. I had my Takina 11 to something. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, it was beautiful, bro. Just to get that wide angle and stuff like that, nice lens. And by the way, everybody, it's not even about your camera, it's about your lens, man. And then the settings and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm rambling. So, but I bought the Canon 90D and I bought the SL3s at that particular time before mirrorless, the R section of Canon have taken over. I bought them because I wanted to start to experiment over the podcast, flavor in the podcast family. So I got me a Rodecaster 1 and got me 4 pod mics. I got the 2 SL3s to go with the Canon 90D so I can have the 3-point angles, 3-point camera angles. That was good. I had the nice, light that'll light up one set. Although I had a tight shot on my guest and myself, and then a wide shot for both of us. I have bought the what is it? The A10 Mini, where you can connect both or all 3 of your cameras together. So just in a push of a button, you know what I'm saying? And before that, what's so funny? Before I got the Rodecaster Pro, I got the Zoom, is it MP4 or something like that, or 4MP? It was like a little, look like a cartridge thing, but it was a recorder, and it was also like, your tracker, your trackboard, so that you can connect that to your computer, connect this, the microphones to that. And yeah, it was like the Rodecaster Pro, but it was in Zoom, but it was a small compact, and I would use 2 different versions of that. It's dope. But after a while, I started to get really, really, into, interviewing people, and I started to enjoy interviewing people, but I still had a love to want to deal with the camera, because once I had a taste of recording my own sketch, I was like, whoa, I felt like something triggered that, before I knew it. Every time that I did a Talking Head video, I did an illustration to this, illustration to that. But having that on the side, that was the one thing I'm doing for It's OU TV. Open up another YouTube channel called It's Life Podcast, and I started it on Facebook before I even started on YouTube. And before I knew it, I got the 3-point lighting. And I'm like, wow, man, only if I could be like Mr. Sean Cannell and Think Media, because I loved the way that they performed. I love the way that they operate. I love the team and stuff like that. And, how he would use StreamYard, which is what I'm on right now. He'll have like different members, people in the backstage. And, he had the team who would take over for this part. He would take over for that part. We had somebody else to take over for another part. He had their whole team on the one YouTube page where they're doing some tech on one, doing the podcast on another, giving you all of the information that you need for your growth in YouTube. And it wasn't the content for me, it was their style. And I'm like, yo, I would love to emulate them. I would love to, not be them, but have something similar, because it was so clean, so good. And yeah. And so I even got the same, let me see. I wish I could, let me see. I got the same microphone as he. Let me see if I could share my screen for a second, y'all. Let me see. Hold on for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I mean, yo, bro, listen, let me tell you something, man. I did everything that I could possibly do to, imitate that, and to say, yo, this is something I really love to do. And I wanted to become, and again, I just loved his style, and that's that. So I did some of the things, and I bought some of the equipment that he himself had. Oh, wow, this is crazy. Let me show this. I want to share y'all share this with you all. Let me see, share screen. And this is funny. This is really, really funny. Now I'm going to also turn off. If y'all can see this right here, this is us. This is us right here in real time. But I want to go to, let me see, I want to go to SOU TV. All right. Yeah. So if you take a look at this real quick, I'm gonna go to the videos, and I utilize, now see, this is like some of the advanced stuff here where I started to get like, I'm, just going in on cinematography. I did something with my dog. I did another illustration, but if I go all the way down, let me see if I could just, how about, let me see, popular, oldest. Let's go to the oldest, right? Videos. This is my first video. I didn't put no thumbnail on it on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Because this is significant. I can still smell the newness of the equipment that I had when I did this, man. And all of this led into me wanting to start a business, honestly, to tell you the truth, y'all. But I didn't know I was gonna go there. So I did this video here. I need to turn it off because if I don't turn it off, you won't hear me. It's not like it's a Zoom. But I did a TalkNet video about 3 things you want to do in order for you to have a lifelong, a long relationship and stuff. And this is my first time, doing it with an illustration right here in this office, y'all, before I get up out of here. And I didn't know all of what I was doing, but I did know my, my medium cuts, my wide cuts, my established shots and stuff like that. And shout out to Chiffon. Shout out to my boy Imbert. You know what I'm saying? They did their thing and stuff like that. Ever since then, it was a wrap. But again, I didn't know all of what I wanted to do. But then all of a sudden, I came out with It's Life podcast, and all of a sudden I was like, yo, this is dope. Let me see, where's It's Life? It's Life is right here. I did It's Life podcast, and then after a while, because of the fact that I've been doing stuff myself, I got bored. And I'm like, you know what? Let me see if I can get 2 people that would come and help out, like Think Media, And I got in Robin Holmes. I got my boy Ramel Bill. We did a couple of things together, and sometimes they got on, they did the podcast. We had the equipment. We would come here every single Thursday at 9 p.m., right after work, and listen, this stuff, it was not easy. Now, this is obviously not the pod mics and stuff like that, but I started to get like very, very excited about wanting to start a business off of this. And I'm saying to myself, yo, this feels really, really good. And I've been seeing testimonies of people saying, listen, I quit my job and this, that, and the other. But little to my surprise, I didn't realize they were saying that they were going to be working for YouTube. And understand, when you're during the pandemic and stuff like that, obviously, you got a big growth spurt because everybody's home. So everybody's watching social media. But now it wasn't until everybody started to leave and go back to work and this, that, and the other, that a lot of the spurt started to go down. And so people who were making money and people were doing certain things, it wasn't as fluent and it wasn't as fast. You get what I'm saying? So the reason I'm saying that is because, I decided that me, Ramel Bill doing stuff on Facebook now, Robin Holmes, she's a journalist, doing her thing. We just wanted to try it out. And I was like, I knew I couldn't do it all the time now at 9 o'clock every single day, every single Thursday, because I would get tired from my line of work. So Ramel Bill would be the same way. Robin Holmes would be the same way. We're older. We're not like these young bucks and stuff like that, where we just come out and we just grinding every single day. We did get a nice fan base, still have a fan base off of that. You can go to It's All You TV, ITZ, family and stuff. And so that was great. However, I was like, but how could I, make finances off of this and sort of fantasize about doing this, without going to work? Because I'm getting sick and tired of a 9 to 5, But I want to tell y'all all the truth. And I want y'all to know what it is and what it takes in order for you to get your own business and your own online business or digital business or your own network without working for YouTube, without working for Facebook, without working for Instagram and all this other stuff. You know what it took? It took me to continue to dig and dig and dig. I made the podcast LLC. I made I started to create the online email list. I did a small private group where I can teach this and I can teach that. I did that. It was good. I did that, and I started to get, real fluctuant in it. And, people came, they went, they came, they went. I was like, okay, I understand. I was getting discouraged. I was being encouraged. but I still haven't put my finger, on what it was. What is it? Because all these content creators saying, I just made almost $30,000 off of this one video, and make more. And then Sean Cannell would say, make money overnight while you sleep. Let your video make the money for you, and this, that, and the other. And I didn't want the focus to be on money. And that's the number one. That's the number one thing you don't ever want to do is focus on money and say, oh, I just want to make money. Yeah, obviously, but you have to give yourself some ample time as to how long it's going to take, depending upon what you want to do. Now, the first thing I needed to find out was, well, what am I doing? Because all of my content is positive. It's more mental awareness. It's all mindfulness and wellness and stuff like that. But everybody was doing that, and everybody who didn't know how to articulate being distinguished from, being a motivational speaker, being an inspiration speaker, to into transformation, right? You can get motivation anywhere on YouTube now. You get motivation anywhere on Instagram, anywhere on Facebook. You can get motivation anywhere, inspiration anywhere, But that's not the key, because what I've learned is that people need transformation, but I didn't know it at all. Now, I never joined VRA, that Sean Cannell had came up with. He's like, listen, if you want to really grow your YouTube channel, find out what your niche is. I was like, yeah, but he's doing YouTube, right? I don't want to work for YouTube, but it's nothing wrong for doing that. If you want to do that, that's fine. Understand your niche, understand your niche, whichever way. Understand that the audience you want to speak to, understand what your contents want to be. And see, here's the deal. And I want to give you the first tip as to how you go on the road of, number one, knowing your audience and knowing exactly who you want to speak to. Here's what you want to do. If you don't have a business, right, that will earn you the authority, to be able to teach whatever it is that you want to teach or present to people, this is what you really want to do. You now have to become the guinea pig, and that is like, listen, 3 tips about this book you need to know, that I read within a matter of a month. You be the guinea pig, or, I've been on YouTube for 2 months. Here's what I've learned, the do's and don'ts. So you have to become the guinea pig if you don't have a niche, that you can follow. So I oftentimes tell people all the time, listen, for real, if you don't know the kind of business you want to start, then go around and ask a friend. Ask a couple of your friends, let me ask you a question. If you were able to tell me what you thought I'm able to specialize in, then what might that be? When you think of me, what do you think of? And be careful when you ask some of the people, you make sure you ask the right person that, and ask them in a serious note. What do you think if you think I could be good at something, what might that be from your point of view as a friend? And I mean, really, prepare to hear what it is that you might not want to hear, or what it is that you want to hear, because you might think you're good at one area, but they'll tell you, nah, you good over here, and now you got to examine that, maybe become the actual guinea pig, as to what it is that you will have to, focus on. Here's the other thing you want to do after you find that out. Do your research in your field. Do your research. 9 times out of 10, there's so many people who have gone to college, have gone to and they've specialized. They had their major, but they come out of college, they don't major in anything, or they don't work in the capacity that they major in. All of a sudden, they start to find more things about them that nobody else knew. And you know what happens? They start to work in the field that they've created versus what they've gone to school for. You feel what I'm saying? And anybody who's going to college for something is a beautiful thing. If you specialize in something, that's a beautiful thing. Please keep that going. But there's what you've gone in for, and then there's that inner piece, or that inner man or inner woman about you that you have, that you're like, but I really love to do this. I didn't get the certificate in that, but this is who I really am, And think about it, everybody. When you're in school, from public school over to college, you don't really know your real heart's desire and what your real passions are. So you can't beat yourself up for not knowing what it is that you ever wanted to major in, because you could have said, yeah, I want to be in physics. I want to be, I want to be a computer technician. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer, you know? And then during the course of the years, you start to find out it's not really my passion. Maybe I thought that's what it was. Just like I thought I wanted to be an inspirational speaker, you know? It's not that. I really wanted to help people with something that I know I could specialize in. You feel what I'm saying? And I had to find that niche, you know? But here's the deal. After I found out what it is that I'm able to do, the question became, well, how am I going to get a audience, or how am I going to get clients? You know, where am I going to station them? Of course, everybody would say, open up a website, this, that, and the other, or, you know, get your own website and stuff like that. You get it, and that's cool. But you know, when you have your own website, you got to pay for certain spaces and stuff like that. So I started to get frustrated. And to be honest with you, I started to get frustrated with Sean Cannell as well. Because I'm like, I'm not quite getting what it is that I'm looking for here, because the only thing that he's appointing me to is YouTube, you know? And I felt that maybe I wasn't as serious enough because I did not join VRA, you know? And they had it for like, I don't know, rather it was a couple of $1,000s, you know, to join VRA or whatever the case may be, and to be serious about YouTube. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, but YouTube is a borrowed platform. It's not mine. I don't own that. I need something that I can say, this is what I got right here, you know? And when he used to say, well, look, make money overnight, I never really understood what that meant. So I sort of fell back on the whole podcast thing, even though I had manifested thoughts, because when It's Life Part Ways, I went to manifested thoughts. And I'm like, okay, cool. And it wasn't the kind of manifested thoughts where people were like, oh, we're going to numb your Hodenga cure and conjure up everything, and the earth is going to give me this. Nah, champ. Manifested thoughts is no more than if I ask what's in your mind right now, you know, and what have you created, you know, that was first in your mind that have become your reality. Somebody couldn't see. So what happened? Somebody created and manifested glasses, you know, of all different eye types in order for that to happen. As a matter of fact, I do have a video on that, on manifested thoughts, you know, and I'm like, somebody was sick and tired of having wires on the phones. And so they created a wireless phone. That's what it is. So it was all about your success story. What have you built that people haven't seen before you built it? Now that it's into fruition, explain your success story. Explain the thoughts that you've manifested, you know, in real time here. That's all that was. Everybody else is trying to get on me. Oh, you cannot manifest this because I'm a Christian. Oh, you can't manifest that. You can. And maybe I might make a video about that. And I'm saying to myself, oh no, you manifest things every single day. But we're not calling upon the gods of the earth. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, listen, whatever it is, you'll never know what's in my mind until I show it to you. So if you ask me, Donald, what's in your head? And I drew a G clef and I showed it to you, like, oh, look at what you just manifested. That's exactly from that angle, you know? And some people got scared of that word manifestation, whatever it gets me. But I understand too. They got all of these different renditions. But anyway, but that's how it was with me. But I'm still not getting where I wanted to be able to, you know, host people and to show them, listen, this is, you join my community, this is where you're joining, you know? And so I got frustrated with Sean Cannell, and I was like, well, and I kept going back and forth. And every time that I kept hearing the same story that he told, I'm like, but Donald, you can't be mad because you didn't pay, you know, to get into VRA to understand all of what they're saying. And obviously, you're not going to give away your secret sauce for free, but you're giving away some of the stuff that is in, you know, their VRA. And I'm like, okay, whatever, man. So, but then one night I was on the brink of just giving it all up, you know, erasing every social media, everything that I had. Rather had anything to do with movies, podcasts, talking at videos, skits, whatever. I was about to erase everything and just like forget it all, you know, and I'll just do whatever it is that I'm supposed to do and this, that, and the other. But in the process, I'm knocked out. I left the TV on and I had YouTube on. And all of a sudden I heard a man talking while I was in my sleep, but through the YouTube airwaves. And he was saying everything that I felt that I could not articulate. He pointed to the pain that I was going through, actually, really rather you know not, and he was like, listen, you're good at what you do, but you just haven't walked through the threshold. You're great at what you're doing, and you've been putting in all your time, all your effort, all your money, into what you believe, but you ain't getting nowhere. And in my mind and in my sleep, I'm like, yes, yes. And I woke up going, yes. Happened. So is a man by the name of Ashton CEO. He had what they call It's Crowded at the Top. So now I'm sort of like wiping my eyes, from sleep and slumber, and to hear what this man is saying. And instantly after he said what he had to say, the next day I had to get up. He had his network for you to join his network for just $97. I got up out of nowhere. I was like, I'm going, because obviously it's something about him he knew I needed, about the network or about what it was that I was building. And I kept thinking everybody else that I've been following prior was just gatekeeping. Because when you're saying, listen, allow for your video, allow for what you're doing, to make your finances. I didn't make it about finances, I didn't make it about that at all. But of course, the goal is that, but you want to be able to have some retention to be able to service people and to share with them on a platform what you have to offer so that they can think about if they want to deal with you or not. You feel me? And before I knew it, he introduced me to what even Sean Cannell had that nobody told us about. When we talk about get your own business, but to get your own network. And now today, I have a network that you can join for a specific amount of money per month if you are dealing with existential anxiety. And so that's what I have gone. I was battling with that when I found out, what my Ikigai was, because Mr. Ashton showed me my Ikigai, showed me my avatar, showed me what my purpose and the things that I wanted to do, showed me how to list every single thing in business to understand business to get me where I needed to be, and then whatever it was that my specialty was, which was not only just anxiety, but specifically existential anxiety. I was someone who used to talk myself out of doing good things, and having great opportunities. I used to overthink a lot, I used to put a worry and or a danger on something that was good at the moment and at the present time that would cause me not to pursue my dreams because I felt that everybody else was better than me, or everybody else was more advanced than I, all of that. And so I came up with a 5-step system, and I'm not advertising to you. This is no niche, but I just want to share with you all of what I've learned. Like you see the topic in business and something that you need to know if you're somebody who would love to open up your own business. You get what I'm saying? And so, it's all of what you need to know, which is 9 times out of 10, if you look into whatever it is that you had to come through some of the struggles. Now, it might be similar to some other people, but it doesn't mean that whatever it is that you're going to produce is going to be the same way people who similarly going through some of the stuff that you've gone through, it will be the same. If I gave you the ingredient to spaghetti and I have the ingredient to spaghetti and we make it in different kitchens, but we present our dish, I promise you, you might use more pepper. I might use more salt. You might have more sauce. I might have more noodles. You might have less protein, less meat in yours, a chopped meat. I might have more, But here's the deal. Neither dishes or neither meal or cuisine is bad. It's really all about the judges. So if you got judges who like more salt than pepper and you use more salt and I use more pepper, guess who's the winner? You are. It's not because my plate is bad. It's just that that's what they preferred at that particular time. Now, the next time we go against each other, whatever the case would be, and I make more sauce and they want more sauce and less noodles, and you made it with more noodles and I have more sauce, guess who they're going to go? They're going to have to be. So it's not about who's bad, who's terrible, who can, who cannot, or who's better. It's not about that. It's just about how they felt at that particular time. Your dish, your business, what you're going to do is going to be just as great as anybody else who's out there. But people need to hear the type of business and the similarity that you have from you, and not from me. Whatever, how Donald might say things different from you, but people might gravitate to you more than they do me. But we still have clientele. We still have clientele because there are trillions and trillions of people on this globe that you have not met yet. You get what I'm saying? And when the biggest thing that have ever happened to me, after finding out what my ikigai is, and after finding out what my my avatar is, you might say, well, what is your ikigai? Your ikigai is no more than whatever you have passions to do, right? Or you list all of your passions. I'm giving you the sauce. All of your passions, all of your reasons to have the passions, all of what you want to gain from the passions. And I know it sounds corny, but nah, I'm telling you, people used to be on the airwaves saying the same thing when I was the listener. And I'm like, passion, get out of here. No, for real, for real. You have to list your passions, list your avatar. Who's your avatar? Your audience, your clients. What do they do? Here's the secret sauce. What is their occupation? Well, they might be lawyers, they might be teachers, they might be principals, there might be judges, they might be law enforcement. Okay, fine. They got to go. How much do they make a year? Maybe they make over 100 some change a year. That's good. But what is it and how does it relate to you? Well, they're successful, got homes, houses, they're married, have children, got great income and stuff like that, but they suffer with existential anxiety. See the sauce? That's the sauce. You want your avatar or your person or you want your client to have all of what they need, make great money, but at the end of the day, the issue that they battle with that they can't talk to nobody about might be the thing that they need you for. You see how this works? So that's your avatar. Your ikigai is your passions. Your avatar is your ideal clients or leads. What do they do? Where do they? And do me a favor. Don't worry about people saying, oh, you got to find out where your clients live, where they sleep, what they like, what they love, what time they sleep, what their interests are. That's malarkey. Because when you hear a lot of people who started their own businesses, and they're like, your ideal clients got to be this, you got to find out where they are. They're talking about their past self. So if you know who you used to be, and you know that you battled with something that you found not even a cure for, but something that helped people get through better, going through whatever it is that you go through, then what you used to eat, where do you hang out? What time do you normally go to sleep? What's your daily routine? What are your plans during the day? What do you do? Again, see? And that's what they mean when they say you have to find out what your clients are doing. This. No. Their clients are who they used to be, their past self. And if you look at who you used to be, and you find many people around you, but if you don't have a solution to what you've gone through, don't advertise or promote or market yourself, because you still got to find out answers, And here's the other thing too. I'm going to give you some secret sauce too. There's so many people who say, well, but this person is doing what I'm doing. That person's in the same niche or niche. What am I going to do? And let's say you started your business. Let's say you started whatever it was, and it's similar to everybody else's. Listen, you got to understand, Coca-Cola never went out of business because Pepsi started to form. They understood they still had their same clients. But what I'm saying to you is simply this. Sometimes, you have to do what Pepsi Cola have done to Coca-Cola. Find out what their ingredients are, not to steal it, but find out what their product is. Try the product and see the effect that it had on you. Because I promise, if you see the effect that it had on you and you try their product, you're not going to go and try to imitate their product. You are going to come out with something different because your taste buds are different. Your thinking is different. Your style is different. So the person who came out with Pepsi could have been similar to Coca-Cola, but it's still different. And now everybody is drinking Pepsi. For those of them who drink soda, by the way, I like Pepsi. And if you want to, proofs in the pudding, champ. You know what I mean? But they understood. So at the end of the day, you can't be scared because you want to try something new. Go write your book. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Who do you want to buy your book? Who do you want to buy your journal? Who do you want to visit your barbershop? Who do you want to be a part of or come and visit your beauty salon? Who do you want to, I don't know, buy your fashion? Who do you want to buy your album? You know, what do they work? What do they do? You know, what kind of genres of music are you going to do? You know, and where are your listeners? Your listeners are wherever you are because you like that style of music. You know, shout out to Music Soul Child and God bless the dead D'Angelo, you know, and Angie Stone and thank God for Erica Badu and Lyle Jennings and what's her name? Living my life like it's golden. Live, you know what I'm saying? Yes, you feel me? All of them are neo soul. That's one genre of music, you know. Then you got the pop, you know, Michael Jackson and the symbol Prince, and you know what I'm saying, all these other people and Bruno Mars who got that old school, new school touch. You feel what I'm saying? Now let's not get into the technical portions. You're looking at Timberlake and you're looking at Pharrell and you're looking at Swiss Beats and stuff like those of them who are making and creating it. But again, it doesn't matter. Timberland and Swiss Beats, you know what I'm saying, and Pharrell, they know they do music, but all of them are doing different types of music. But they got to use the same equipment. What are you worried about? Yo, get your business. Do something you know you're passionate to do. But understand, you know, when you're doing an online something, you know, we don't have record shops anymore because everything's online. You know, we don't have like learning stuff like hands-on. Now you got the digital books, digital this, digital that. Everything is turned digital, you know. You know, people have, I mean, and I'm too through with online courses. Oh man, I have some myself, you know. So yeah, but people are looking for community. And I'm gonna tell y'all, and this is my prediction, you know, this is the reason why, you know, I chose to go the way of having a network, a digital network that people can utilize and they can go on at any God-given time. I got people in our network even right now tonight, you know. They can go in at their own pace. We have a movie section, we have a podcast section, we have challenge section, we have all the courses section, and it's a system. So it's not like you're just looking at movies, you're looking at a soap opera, you're looking at this, you're looking at that. No, you know, if you look at one of the courses, it's going to tell you after you finish this one module, please go to the challenge tab that's connected to this. Then I want you to take a look in the movie tab at this movie because that's connected. It's going to give you answers and transformation. Everybody is not looking for information anymore. They're looking for transformation, you know? And if you got something that can help transform people, I guarantee you, y'all, guarantee you, people will stick with you, you know? But there's so much I want to teach you and so much I want to say because so much to say, right? When it comes to business. But I want to just leave you with this, no niche, you know? Because again, I'm talking about anything, and that's why I'm chill. I'm comfortable in my skin, especially when I'm on this particular channel. I want you to know that when you start a business, rather it's digital, rather it's brick and mortar, no matter what it is, understand you have to give yourself ample time for you to promote it, for it to be noticed, and it's going to take some time. Understand what I'm saying? I remember when it started with the podcast for me before getting to where I am now. Am I making millions? Not yet. You know, am I making some green? Somewhat, but it's not even about that right now. It's about helping people. When you help people, you know, then things that you look for will never ever lose you, and it never slip by you. You know, you just perfect what you have for people, and let it not be, you know, something that you're forced to do, because then that means you're not doing it. And listen, you have to become your own product. You know, if you can't be the transformation that everybody else is seeing, then 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get any clients because you're not going to be believable. You know, only experience will become believable, not something that you read on ChatGPT or Claw or whatever the case may be. You know, they might embellish some of your letters that you want to send out, but they can't be you and replace you because they can't have experiences the way you have experiences. Understand what I'm saying? But give yourself ample time, you know? And for me, when I started out the network, you know, I started out Elevate Circle, I'm giving myself at least 4 years, you know, before it really bounce off, but it's going to be there, and I'm going to still be promoting it. I'm going to still go around doing presentations. I'm going to still tell people, because everybody have some type of anxiety that they battle with. And I do know that some of our people don't call anxiety, they call it survival. And that's the other thing too. When you promote what you have, you got to know your audience that you're talking to, because you're going to be talking to all kinds. So what I've learned, during and having an online business and how to start it, number one, I had to know what my passions are, my ideal client is, what, I don't need to know where they hang out and stuff like that, but I need to know exactly all of what I have for them. What are the solutions, and if I wasn't the expert, I had to become the guinea pig, but because it started with me since I was a young boy, all through school and stuff like that, and coming up, I understood that I became the expert that will not allow for people to feel better. I'm here to help people become better at feeling. Understand what I'm saying? And when you know what you know and you do your research and you do your homework, give yourself some time. Don't look at everybody else. Do the legwork, and sometimes, yeah, you can send out emails, you can send out you know, phone text messages and stuff like that. You can do all that. But most times you have to do some stuff that's manual. You have to do some legwork. Like maybe you need to establish a group or so, group of 5, a group of 3, group of 10, different areas, and you want to go and promote. You want to maybe do some flyers and say, hey, listen, I'm having an event, a presentation you might be interested in. You list some of the pain points. That's another thing that too I want to talk to you about, but we're going to talk about that in the next video, which is, the only way you're going to get people to give you retention is when you are able to point out their pain. Like, what's their pain point? What's the pain point? I know for me, anybody who is suffering with existential anxiety, African Americans don't call anxiety. They call it survival, but if they feel on edge, they feel on edge only because of the fact that they're nervous and they're scared. If they feel stuck, what I'm saying, it's because of the fact that they feel something different, Again, we just have different words for the same meaning, but we just have a different terminology. But you got to know exactly who you're talking to. But here's what I want you to understand. This is where I'm going to land the plane. You have to know where their pain is. And sometimes when you have anxieties, simply because you have so many different questions that's unanswered, and you don't know where to put that pain. Feel what I'm saying? And that's exactly what it is. I can tell you all day, do me a favor. Just don't follow the thoughts that come to you, because you don't have any control of your thoughts. You say, okay, Donald, sounds easy. But then the question becomes, how do you do that? I'm your guy. That's the reason why you need coaching. You feel what I'm saying? And that's why I'll help you become better at feeling. So I'm not going to tell you to ignore those thoughts. See, again, know your ikigai, that's your passions. Know your avatar, which are your ideal clients. Understand what you are able to offer and the solution. You don't want to offer nobody information. You get that all over YouTube. You don't want no information, no inspiration, no motivation. I'm not here to motivate you, only here to give you clarity. That's what people need. Clarity so they can have transformation. Feel what I'm saying? So listen, don't be scared because somebody else has come out, doing what it is that you felt that you wanted to do. You're going to do it differently. And some people are going to want to see it the way that you do it. And there's trillions of people on the earth that you have not met yet. So if you ever want to start a business, I'm your guy. I'll help you out with the steps, and I'll give away the secret sauce. You got to pay me nothing. The only thing that you pay me by putting it into action. You feel me? And showing me, Don, I did this. I'm on to the next step. And here's also the key to success while building. Because after you build it, then you want to make it known. The key to success, keep your mouth shut, eyes and ears open, keep working. Feel me? Other thing you might need to do is stay off of social media. Don't look at what everybody else is doing. Don't follow what everybody else is doing. Don't compare yourself to what everybody else is doing. Comparison is the joy killer. And do me a favor, and I'm gonna borrow this from Mr. Sean Cannell. I always give credit where credit's due. Don't ever compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. Why do we say somebody else's middle? It's because they ain't dead. They're still working. They're still doing it. You feel what I'm saying? They're still working and they're still doing it. So don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. You know what the things the biggest pet peeve I've ever had with people is for people who don't understand to start anything or how to start anything, because people want to thrust you straight to the finish line. Yo, you know, this person's doing this and that person's doing it that way. Nobody's asking your opinion about how and what people are doing. We are starting something here. You don't need to know what other people are doing. Yo, they're doing it that way. What they do, good for them. But this is not where I'm at. You feel what I'm saying? Some people don't give themselves enough ample time to start from somewhere. I don't know no cake that you start from scratch, ready to go into the oven and ready to be served. 3 sections. You gotta mix the ingredients, then put it in the oven, take it out when it's finished, let it cool, and then decorate that joint. That's your marketing and promotion. Feel me? Then it's time for you to cut the cake and serve it to the people that need it. You feel me? But here's the deal. Whatever your cake batter tastes like will determine what the cake's going to taste like. So when you're in your cake batter stage, you don't need nobody telling you, throwing olives in the batter. Oh, yeah, this person's doing this. That person's doing that. Some people are not going to be around you when you start, because there are 2 types of people. And this is something I want to give to you. And I want you to take this away before I land the plane tonight. There are people who are visual. Visual people can't see these glasses no further than how they can see them. Because visual people will see this bottle and say that's all it is. But the second type of person is visional, a visional person. So this might have been a Pepsi bottle created for you to drink up out of, or pour something out of this and into another cup. But somebody else will cut this, put a seed in the bottom of it, and put dirt in it, and now it becomes a flower pot. Visional people could say that, no, this is not just a bottle, but this is going to become a big picture. So I'm going to slice this open and I'm going to melt it back down and make it into something bigger so you can put bigger substance in it. Understand? Or more substance in it. But that's what a visionary does. A visionary can see something the way it's going to end up before it takes shape. Visual people can only see it for what it is and can't see nothing else. Understand what I'm saying? And so those are the kind of people you'll always have around you. Or there's some people that will show up that way. Understand what I'm saying? Some people that will show up that way because they don't understand the difference between being visual and visional. Feel me? You see this shirt? Anybody who's a visionary can say, I'm going to take this shirt, cut it up, and make it into a sheet. Feel what I'm saying? Somebody else will say, I'm going to take the same sheet that they took and made out of a shirt into a blanket. Understand what I'm saying? Some people could take a look at a building that's empty and say, that's going to be my clothing department store. That's a visional person. A visual person will try to talk you out of something that you can see yourself doing. And it becomes 3 things. First, you dumb for doing it. That's number 1. Number 2, it turned into, but he's actually doing it, or she's actually doing it. Number 3, it becomes, you did it, now can you help me? You feel what I'm saying? So understand, if you're going to start your business or digital business, I want to say digital and business at the same time. If you want to start your business, you have to make a plan first. Feel me? And then you have to maybe take some classes, take some coaching on that. Because even though you are the it factor, you still might have to learn how to articulate, different terminology. Maybe take a business class on sales. You feel what I'm saying? Or how to promote your stuff, how to, talk about yourself and, sell the stuff that you do have, and never, ever make any explanation for your price. Whatever your price is, never lower your price or explain your price, because you have to understand your worth. All right. Yo, it's your boy Donald. And if this was something that was helpful to you, do me a favor. Do me the solid. Leave a comment, y'all. Say something to me. You feel what I'm saying? Say, yo, bro, I thought this is very, very helpful. I thought this is very formal, something that, I wanted to, I never considered this, but, I've been inspired by what it is that you did. Hit a like button, what I'm saying? Do something. I see 3 people up here. I know it's late, my insomnia. I got to leave here and get out of here, but I wanted to do this because it's a challenge. I've been doing stuff and running all day. You feel what I'm saying? But I wanted to do this. And leave me a comment. Say, listen, thank you for the information. If for nothing else, don't go by somebody's house, what I'm saying, and don't say something to people. You feel me? And even if you don't say anything, thank you for ghosting it. Thank you for taking a look at it. I have been doing a lot of stuff all day, and I ran into some bump in the roads all day. And I'm like, listen, sometimes when you feel that you can't, talk to anybody, sometimes it's good that you just get up here and share what you are, how you're feeling. Maybe you can help somebody, what I'm saying, along, what it is that they're doing. Maybe they are where you are and maybe need to hear your point of view. And maybe you might go on their channel and hear their point of view, and because you've collaborated together, you can come out with a great solution and stuff like that. You feel what I'm saying? So listen, y'all, I hope that this is helpful to you. This is just things that you might need to know in order for you to start your own business, because I know everything is online, or rather it's brick and mortar. This is something that I wanted to just do for you. All right. With that being said, it's your boy Donald. My name don't mean nothing on this. This is no niche. And I'll talk to you the next video. Peace.